Of Hagerstown, we are so glad that you are here with us today as we celebrate love. When I need shelter from a raging storm, I can find it in the love of God. On a cold night, some place to keep me warm, I can find it in the love of God. If I'm down and broken and I need a friend, well, I can find it in the love of God. Give me one good reason to smile again, well, I can find it in the love of God. I can find it in the love of God. I can find it in the love of God. Well, I can find it in the love of God. I can find it in the love of God. In a sea of confusion, seems I've lost my way. Well, I can find it in the love of God. And I ain't got the strength for just one more day. Well, I can find it in the love of God. If my pockets are empty and my hope is gone, well, I can find it in the love of God. Giving me one good reason to go along, well, I can find it in the love of God. Well, I can find it in the love of God. I can find it in the love of God. Well, I can find it in the love of God. I can find it in the love of God. I can find it in the love of God. I can find it in the love of God. I can find it in the love of God. I can find it in the love of God.
Ooh, yes. Yes, thank you, Brett and Patty. What a great way to start our service, and welcome everybody to Unity of Hagerstown. I'm so glad that you're here, and those watching virtually, I'm so grateful that you're taking the time out and joining us via YouTube or Facebook or however you're doing it. So we have a quote here by Ram Dass: "You are loved just for being who you are, just for existing. You don't have to do anything to earn it. No one can take this love away from you, and it will always be here." I invite you to turn to a neighbor and say, "You are loved. You are loved. You are loved." So that kind of felt like an opening prayer to me, but we're going to go ahead and move into a centering just so that we can really begin this service off open and receptive. So I invite you to join me in prayer, taking a moment, just closing your eyes or gazing softly on the ground, letting go of the busyness of the day, letting go of any tension, becoming fully present here and now. We are open to that activity of spirit, that activity of love within us that moves through us as us. We are on this spiritual adventure known as Advent. And we see that we can be changed, coming back to the world in new and wonderful ways, more loving, more open, more compassionate, more wise. For this and so much more, we are grateful, and so it is. Amen. And if you will join me in our mission statement together, Unity of Hagerstown, a welcoming community, embraces spiritual awakening through affirmative prayer and meditation, creating a positive path of abundant living for all. And now we'll have the reading of the Advent. We switched things up a little bit, Jay. The Advent reading today with Dave.
Good morning. Peace and love be with you. Today's Advent reading is the following. Love is so much more than an emotion. It's a force of nature, a a divine pool into the flow of life. Awash in grateful affection for your family and your friends. That's love. So is the awe we feel when admiring the majesty of nature. Love energizes the flood of ideas for things we want to do. It prompts us to reach out a caring hand to another. Struggling through the heartache that comes with loss, grief is love trying to find a new way to express itself. The holidays tend to magnify our relationship with love, whether we're falling in or out of it, yearning for it, giving it freely, or healing from its loss. The greatest gift we can give ourselves during the season is to practice self-care. To increase your enjoyment of the season, take time to love yourself by doing the things you love. For every other act of love you share springs from that place. The scripture lesson for today is from the first epistle of John, chapter 3, verse 18. Little children, let us love, not in word or speech, but in truth and action. The Advent affirmation is God's love flows freely through me, from me, and as me. Let us repeat that together, please. God's love flows freely through me, from me,
And as me. Go ahead.
Oh, come, Emmanuel, and with your captive children dwell. Give comfort to all exiles here, and to the aching heart bid cheer. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as faith to dwell. Oh, come, you splendor very bright, as joy that never yields to might. Oh, come and turn all hearts to peace, that greed and war at last shall cease. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as peace to dwell. Oh, come, you day spring, come and cheer our spirits by your presence here, and dawn in every broken soul as visions that can see the whole. Rejoice, rejoice,
And now we'll have the reading of the Daily Word with Jay.
Morning. As Advent season continues, I give thanks for the steadfast love of God, which dispels the darkness of conflict and loneliness with the light of harmony and togetherness. Love is personal and sacred, human and divine, immediate and immortal. Amid seasonal greetings for joy and peace, I give thanks for the power of love. I am a divine being, bringing the love of God into the world. Through my words and actions, I am kind and patient, compassionate and empathetic, and encouraging and supportive. As I am blessed by love, I share love's blessings with others. I center myself on the Christ within and go forth as the heart and hands of love in the world. And the reading is from 1 John. Beloved, let us love one another, because love is from God. Everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. And our statement for today is, I feel blessed to share God's steadfast love. So let that rest for a moment. And then again, I feel blessed to share God's steadfast love.
Thank you, Jay. Now we have an opportunity to greet our neighbors, and for those of you who haven't been with us before, if you're not a comfortable hugger, then put your hand out, because this group does like to hug. If you don't want to shake hands, that's fine too. Just, you can hold your hands up or just hug yourself. Just let us know what you prefer. Also, just as a reminder, this is not a time to share our autobiographies, as interesting as they are, and I mean that sincerely. It's just a greeting of your neighbor. So let's go to it. Let's say hello. And at this time, I'd like to say hello to our friends on Facebook. We love you. We appreciate you. And I invite you to put something down in the comment section, please, so I can greet you. Once I get off of here and back home, I will certainly give you a message. Okay, so if you can hear my voice, please be seated. If you can hear my voice, please be seated. Please be seated, my beloved friends. If you want to see me dance, please be seated. And now we have a wonderful, wonderful choir piece to be shared. Yes. Yes. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Okay. So, a brand new minister, newly ordained, was assigned to his first church, and he showed up in early November, eager and anticipating great things for himself and the congregation he was to serve. He got to the church, and the building was a little disappointing. It was kind of run down. It needed some work. There was a lot going on with that building. So he and the congregation decided to set a goal to have everything cleaned up and repaired by Christmas Eve, because they always had a big Christmas Eve service. And they worked hard. They repaired pews. They painted. They repaired the plaster on the walls. And on December 18th, they were just about finished. They were ahead of schedule and feeling pretty good. But then the very next day, a rainstorm came in, driving rain for 48 hours. When the minister got back to the church, he saw that the roof had leaked, and that plaster had come down on the front of the sanctuary directly behind the pulpit. Well, his heart sank. He didn't know how they were going to fix this in time for the Christmas Eve service. So he cleaned up the plaster and he headed on home. But on the way home, he saw a flea market, and he thought, I'll just stop by there and see what's there. So he started wandering around, browsing, and he saw this beautiful hand-crocheted, hand-embroidered tablecloth, and it was about the size that maybe it could work as a tapestry, and there was even a dove in the middle of it. And so he bought the tablecloth, went back to the church to see if it would work, and on the way back to the church, he noticed a woman who had missed her bus. She was running after it, and at this time, it was beginning to snow. So the minister invited her to come into the church where it was warm while she waited for the next bus. And he began to put the wall hanging, or the tapestry, the tablecloth really, up on the wall. He got the ladder out, the tools that he needed. And when he finished, he took a step off the ladder and looked at it and said, "Man, that looks so beautiful." He was just amazed at it. And the woman who had been sitting in the pew waiting for her bus started coming down the center aisle slowly, and her face was just white as a ghost. And she goes, "Where did you get that?" And he goes, "I got it at a flea market." He goes, and she said, "Well, can you check the lower right-hand corner? Are there initials EBG on there?" And he did, and they were. And she explained that those were her initials. She had made that tablecloth many years ago in Austria before the war. And she and her husband were well-to-do people, but when the Nazis came, she was forced to leave. And her husband was going to follow her the next week. However, she was captured and imprisoned and never saw her home again, never saw her husband again. The minister listened to her story with empathy, with compassion, and asked, how were you able to live with this loss? And she goes, it's through forgiveness that's allowed her to continue to see the blessings in life. Well, the minister began to take down the tablecloth to return it to its rightful owner, and she wouldn't hear about it. She said, "Keep it. The church can have it." So he then offered to drive her home as a way of partially thanking her for this gift. So she lived on the other side of Staten Island and was only in Brooklyn for the day for a house cleaning job. So a few days later, the church had a beautiful Christmas Eve service, and it was full of people, the members in the congregation, and also visitors as well. And after the end of the service, the minister was talking to the people and greeting them, and then he noticed that there was an older gentleman sitting in one of the pews, and he was staring at the tapestry on the wall. When the minister approached him, the man asked him, "Where did you get that tablecloth?" Because it's identical to one that his wife had made many years ago in Austria. And then then his story came out of how, when the Nazis came, he sent his wife to safety, and he was going to join her the following week, but he got captured and imprisoned, and he never saw his wife again. Well, the minister asked, "Would you like to go for a drive with me?" And of course, they went to Staten Island, to the same house where he had dropped the woman off a few days before. He helped the man climb the 3 flights of steps to the woman's apartment, knocked on the door, and got to be part of the most incredible Christmas reunion ever. Now, I don't know if that story's fiction, which I probably think it is, but however, it shows us a wonderful, wonderful aspect of just being open to possibilities, being open to love. Ernest Holmes tells us to carry peace, love, and givingness to everyone is the meaning of Christmas. To feel that we are all part of the divine offering is to enter into the spirit of the birth of Christ through the human mind and heart. So today we are continuing our metaphysical adventure, our Advent journey, in which we are really on something that's approaching a hero's journey, in that we want to be changed this season so that we can come back into our lives renewed and centered, more compassionate, more wise. And we're going to look today at Joseph, see what we might learn from his journey. From Matthew, the 1st chapter, beginning with verse 18, we read, "This is how the birth of Jesus, the Messiah, came about. His mother Mary was pledged to marry Joseph, but before they came together, she was found to be pregnant with the Holy Spirit. Because Joseph, her husband, was faithful to the law and yet did not want to expose her to public disgrace, he had in mind to divorce her quietly. But after he considered this, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, 'Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife, because what is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will give birth to a son, and you are to name him Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins.' All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet, 'The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel,' which means God with us. When Joseph woke up, he did what the angel of the Lord had commanded him and took Mary home as a wife. But he did not consummate the marriage until she gave birth to a son, and they called him Jesus." So, first of all, we're all familiar with this story. But in Unity, we like to look at things metaphysically, which means that each character in a story is symbolic of a state of consciousness within each of us. So let's look at see what we have metaphysically here. But actually, before we do, I want to just address one phrase that might have pushed some buttons. There might be more than one in this group, but that's okay. When the angel said, "You are to give him the name Jesus because he will save his people from their sins," now, I want to remind everybody here that in Unity, we see sins, meaning the definition coming from the archery term, which means to miss the mark. When we are living in our heads and not living heart-centered, we are missing the mark. We don't believe in original sin. It's more original blessing. We are all blessed of God. Okay, so clearing that up, let's move on to the metaphysics of it. So, Joseph literally means whom God increases or whom God prospers. And he was merely betrothed to Mary when she was great with child, and Joseph was of a mind to set her away. Metaphysically, we can see this as when we're approaching the first stages of Christ consciousness or awareness or becoming more awake to who we are as an expression of God, we may be tempted to set that spiritual path away because we do not understand it. Maybe it's a little scary, but we might want to just put that away. Joseph and Mary represent wisdom and love, which are ideas in mind until they are brought forth in manifestation in our lives. We bring that wisdom and love into our daily life. I used to, think Love Came Down at Christmas was one of my favorite Christmas songs. It still is. And I used to think that it was talking about love from up there somewhere coming down in the form of Jesus. I don't believe that anymore. I think it refers to something much bigger, much more broad. And it's love as an intellectual idea that comes down to our hearts so that we live it. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked. That's not in my notes. Okay. But this is the hero's journey, is bringing love down here, so that we are changed. In fact, Joseph Campbell tells us the hero's journey of this basic story of the hero journey involves giving up where you are, going into the realm of adventure, coming to some kind of symbolically rendered realization, and then returning to the field of normal life. We are all on this journey if we want to be, so that, especially this season, so that we can let the deep meaning, the deep peace of this season affect us. So Joseph, the story tells us, is of the lineage of David. And David metaphysically represents divine love in individual consciousness. This is the love that we might feel in our hearts as opposed to a collective consciousness, which is the love that we might feel that's around us. So he also represents wisdom because he listened to the angel. An angel is a message from God. He listened to that message in his sleep. I don't know if you've ever woken up from a sleep and said, "Oh, I know what to do now." That's a message, I believe, okay? So you could say he is representing intuitive wisdom because he got clear. He received guidance in that form of a dream. The Fillmore Study Bible tells us wisdom is the outcome of love deeply and quietly held. Together, wisdom and love form the mind of the Christ. The Christ consciousness is within each of us. You can call it the Buddha nature. You can call it your highest self. You can call it your true self. I don't care what you call it. It's that part in us that knows we are connected to all. That part of us that we don't even have to think about in order to allow that love to come forth. This is a love that we don't have to seek anywhere outside of us, which is kind of the trend in the past decade or maybe century, seeking love outside of us. But it's part of our true nature, my friends, this Christ consciousness, this higher self. This is who we really are. But sometimes we may have blocks to our awareness of who we are. We may have built up walls to try to protect our heart. There's a quote by Rumi that's pretty familiar, and it's probably been seen on every type of social media there is. And it tells us your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers you have built up within yourself against it. Now, does that sound familiar? Yeah. Okay. However, the quote goes on. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers you have built up within yourself against it and embrace them. It's not enough to just find them. It's not enough to know what they are. We have to accept them. They are a part of who we are. So love, as I said, is our true self. We don't need to look anywhere else but within. And it's truly the fabric of the universe. If God is love and God is everywhere present, then it's the fabric of our being as well. But as I said, we have built up these blocks to our awareness of love, barriers that have become a part of how we show up in our daily life. But these barriers are really built on a falsehood that's saying we're not good enough. And we may feel like we need to get rid of this part of ourselves and just rip it out. Maybe it's a part that we're ashamed of. And maybe it's an unconscious decision to try to get rid of it. The guilt that we carry for things that we said or didn't say, or things that we did or didn't do. The self-judgment and condemnation that runs rampant in our thoughts. That's a war that is created in thinking that we are not good enough. But that is not who we are. We are spirit. We are love. And we're definitely good enough. So we can stop, or rather when we can stop trying to fix our broken parts and accept where we are, when we can stop trying to get rid of the pieces that we don't like and really learn to care about everything that we're going through, showing ourselves some self-compassion, we can melt those, actually we don't melt them, the barriers melt and our hearts open up. Instead of looking to fix ourselves, we realize that we are already whole. There is another Rumi poem that is probably very familiar with everyone here, and that's The Guest House. Yeah, I'm going to read it aloud because even though it's familiar, there's so much truth here. I wanted to share it again. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So, as Mary and Joseph approached Bethlehem, we know that Mary was, the story goes, Mary was great with child. She's ready to deliver. And we're told that there was no room at the inn. They knocked and they asked, and no room at the inn. But my friends, we are the innkeepers in this situation. We are the ones who can say, come on in. There's plenty of room for love and wisdom in my life. A boy wanted to be Joseph in his Sunday school pageant. And he didn't get cast as Joseph. He got cast as the innkeeper. And he was really disappointed. And pretty soon that disappointment turned to frustration and anger. So when the pageant was presented, Mary and Joseph knocked at the inn's door. I wish I had something to knock on. And asked if he had room for them at the inn. And he opens the door wide. He says, yes, sure, come on in. I like that one too. There is so much room in the inn of our hearts. It may be time to open the door wide and let those barriers to love melt. Allow a greater understanding of who we are. We are human, yes. We have a human expression here on earth, but we are also divine. We're this wonderful, interesting, crazy mix of the two. Let's allow a greater understanding to be born, a greater self-compassion to be born within of all the parts of us. I have one more Rumi poem. He was like all over this, right? This one is not as familiar. If God said, Rumi, pay homage to everything that has helped you enter my arms, there would be not one experience of my life, not one thought, not one feeling, not any act I would not bow to. Being open to all, embracing it all. We're going to move into a time of meditation. Oh, first I have one more quote. Forgot about this. Tara Brach tells us, when you are no longer blocking off a part of your body, that love and creativity and that natural intelligence is able to flow freely and open up space to loving others. When we are cut off from the awakened heart, the pathway back is to recontact the life that's here and remember the space that can hold it over and over. When we heal our hearts, we help heal the world. So let's move into a time of meditation, if you will. I invite you to adjust your position as necessary to be a little comfortable. Settling in, calming the breath, releasing any tension in the body. Allowing your shoulders to relax. Allowing your jawline to relax. Your brow to soften. And just do a scan, a body scan. If there are any other places of tension, allow them to relax and to soften. Focusing on your heart space, I invite you to think of something within yourself that you don't like. Not a physical characteristic, but something that you wish weren't there. You want it to go away. Maybe it's your inner critic. Maybe it's resentment for something that happened 10 years ago. Whatever it is, bring this to your thoughts. Maybe something that you had judged as wrong. And bring the feeling into a full body experience. In other words, feel within your body where you are holding this feeling. And now if you want, place your hand on your heart. You don't have to, but if you want to, go ahead and silently tell yourself, I love you in all your human expressions. In your fear, in your worry, in your anger, in your depression. I love you. And just breathing in and allowing this moment in your heart. If it's difficult to say I love you to yourself or through this difficulty, just say, I love you for having problems with saying I love you in this difficulty. If you're feeling peaceful, I love you in this peacefulness. Be present with yourself with no agenda. Self-compassion and love. And as we breathe through this, focus once more on your heart if it's drifted off. And that's okay, no judgment there. Focusing on your heart once more. And allow those walls to come down so that you may be informed of who you are as an expression of love. This is your true nature. As we continue to sit quietly, breathing in and allowing this moment. Allowing the love to flow. Gently remind yourself that really and truly there is only love. It is the fabric of the universe. It is the fabric of our being. In the silence. And as our time of communion comes to a close, let us give thanks for these precious moments of stillness. And I invite Brent and Patty to lead us in another song.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when it seems I've lost my way, then I go inside and quiet my mind. I hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
Thank you, thank you. That's such a beautiful song. Now I'm going to invite you to take your offerings, take your tithes, take your gifts, and let's bless them together as we say that. Just hold it and infuse it with gratitude and joy and love. I believe that makes a difference. Okay, together. Abundant blessings flow to me and through me. I give thanks for the prosperity in my life. Amen. And we have another song.
Love is all I see. Love is all I see.
love that. You know, when Patty sings, it makes me feel like I can sing too. It really does. So we do have a few announcements today. On Wednesday, we have a winter solstice service. Our labyrinth will be laid out for part of that service as well. That starts at 7 p.m. Next Sunday is Christmas Eve. We'll have our Christmas service next Sunday morning, followed by a potluck. Everybody is welcome. And if you haven't been to our potlucks, you are missing out. They're really great. On the 31st, we have a burning bowl. This is one of the few rituals that Unity has, a burning bowl to release anything we don't want to bring into the new year, basically. And then the sound bath is on the 3rd of January. And we have a yoga day retreat. Yes. It's actually an afternoon retreat. It's not all day. It's from 1 to 3:30. But Sandy Morell, a yoga teacher, is coming in, and she'll start with the simple yoga poses and move into yoga nidra. If you're not familiar with that, it's a great way to relax. I think she said that 30 minutes of yoga nidra is equivalent to like 2 hours of deep sleep. So if your body is saying you need some rest, this might be the thing for you. And then she'll move into breath work. So that's the outline for the afternoon. And that is a $25 admission for that, registration for that. And she would like to know who's coming to that before she comes. And then our Whitestone service is on the 7th of January, followed by a financial meeting that'll be after the service for any who want to have more information about the finances of Unity of Hagerstown in detail. The following Sunday, we'll have a congregational meeting, which will go over the finances in a broader picture. But if you have questions, we're separating it out a little bit because in the past, the finances took up most of the meeting's time. So we want to answer all the questions, but not keep everybody here for all day on the meeting. And then we have, oh my gosh, Zion is happening again, once a month. So I have a sign-up sheet if you're interested in helping or serving or providing food. We'll just start over on this side. And there. We have it for the first of the year, so we're doing black-eyed peas, and they're being provided along with ham to flavor it for our soup kitchen night. And then after the service today, if you could help move the chairs back in preparation for our labyrinth being laid out, that would be welcome. Really, really welcomed. And, oh yeah, one more thing, the spiritual checkups. In the email blast that goes out every Wednesday, there is a link there if you are interested in having a spiritual checkup. It's really for you to fill out, and then you can make an appointment with me or not, just so we can sit down and talk and pray and just take a look at things, see what might be helpful. And it's a great way for me to get to know you better, too. So I hope you do take me up on this appointment. But it's our gift to you. And if you are not able to print out the PDFs, then just let me know and I will print one for you. Okay? So, I think that's it. I'm winded from all those announcements. And we want to say goodbye to our Facebook friends. We love you. We appreciate you. We see the light and love that you are. And if somebody could turn off, I don't know if anybody here knows. Okay, very good. And now we have another song. Actually, I could have started the song and don't turn it off.